Hello everyone, and with baseball season finally back, and yeah, I know it hasn't been a whole week yet, but it is Monday. Each team has at least had 3 games played. Well, let's work on our MLB power rankings. Now there are teams that are not gonna 100% not gonna be where they are right now, uh, by the end of the season. Clearly not. There's teams where they're not supposed to be, and well, again, there's only 3 games, and we're going based off of 3 games. And when you're going based off the stats and unbiased, it's gonna look a little bit weird. Okay? And so let's just see where they are right now. And I guarantee that's not where they're going to be at the end of the season. And this is only a 6 game season, so this is definitely going to be interesting on how this power rankings is going to look, and it's going to be interesting in how this is going to look. And what's even more interesting is the fact that there's going to be 16 teams in the playoffs. That's over half the league. So, yeah, 15 would be half, but it's 16. So, yeah, it's actually over half the league. Over half are going to be in the playoffs, meaning less than half are going to be missing the playoffs. Meaning, if you miss the playoffs, you truly do suck. Now, the rules are it's going to be the runs scored ranking plus the runs allowed ranking, so offense plus defense. Then it's the record for tiebreaker. Then it's the run differential for tiebreaker. Then it's the current streak for tiebreaker. Now, in last place, you got the New York Mets. Sadly, the Mets are worse when it comes to their offense and their defense right now. They've only scored 5 runs, which is 28th in the MLB, which is actually tied for worst, the three-way tie for worst. Then you got 19 runs allowed, which is 26th in the MLB, with 54 points, and lands them in last place, dead last. And the 1-2 record. Yeah, they have one of the they have kind of the worst record. And it's like, again, kind of hard to rank them because the worst record is 1-2, while the best record is 2-1. So and then the middle record is 2-2. So it's literally at most like a 2 game difference between them. You see the problem? It's yeah, nah. Really, not even that. It's like a 1 game difference between all of them. Now, in 29th place, you got the San Fran Giants. And, well, they're 21st in runs scored and 29th in runs allowed. So, yeah, not doing too hot on their offense and defense either, because they're sitting at 50 points. But they got a 2-2 record. They should be way higher than the 1-2. Yeah, I know, but we don't just go based on record. We go based on how well their offense is and how well their defense is. And right now, the Giants' offense and the Giants' defense is really, really bad, or at least it's ranked really, really terribly. Then you got the Seattle Mariners, another 1-2 team, which is pretty fitting. They have scored 11 runs, which was sadly mostly on that third game. If only they scored like 2 less runs, and they've allowed 21 runs. So it's 19th in runs scored, 28th in runs allowed. That's good for 47 points. Then you have the Arizona Diamondbacks with 7 runs scored, ranked 27th, and 15 runs allowed, ranked 19th. That's good for 46 points, landing them in the 27th spot. Well, again, not really a good team. And, oh well. In the 26th spot, you got the Kansas City Royals. Now, Kansas City Royals have scored 5 runs. Again, terrible offense. They're 1-2. Some of them won games, but they've only scored a total of 5 runs out of 3 games. That's not good. They've allowed 15 runs, 13th They've allowed 13 runs, that's 15th in the MLB. At least they're not terrible in that area. That might be how they won. And 43 points, 1-2. Yeah, and then we had to do a run differential here. They're -8 in the run differential. Why do we have to do a run differential? Because they tied in points and record with the Milwaukee Brewers. So you have to do the run differential tiebreaker, which the Brewers, yes, it's a smaller number, -6. But if you know anything about negatives, that's technically a better number. It's higher up. They've allowed 9 runs. They've scored 9 runs, 24th in the MLB, and they've allowed 15 runs, 19th in the MLB. Yeah, not doing too hot either. And yeah, the Brewers have 25, with the Royals sitting at 26. Then you got the Pittsburgh Pirates sitting at 24. They've scored 10 total runs, 21st in the MLB. They've allowed 15 runs, 19th in the MLB, and that gives them 40 points with a 1-2 record. And then you got the New York Yankees sitting at 23. Yankees all the way down to 23? Isn't that bias talking? No, this is not bias. I told you the rules. I'm going based strictly on the rules. I'm not knocking them down because I hate them. I'm just knocking them down because, according to this, they're not playing too hot right now, despite having a 2-1 record. Again, only 3 games to work off of. So you got 9 runs scored, which is 24th in the MLB. Yeah, they've won 2 games out of 3, despite scoring only 9 runs. And then, yeah, they've allowed 12 runs, 13th in MLB. So yeah, they've allowed more runs than they've scored, and somehow they got 2 wins. So they must have had a really low scoring game when they won. I don't know, but they don't seem to be playing too well apparently. We'll see as the games continue. 37 points and a 2-1 record. Chicago White Sox, 17 runs scored, good for 6th in the MLB. Oh, that's pretty darn good, right? Right? Yeah, but they've allowed 27 runs, 30th in the MLB. Ouch. They've not exactly good. That's good for 36 points, 1-2, and a -10 run differential. Again, you got to go back to the run differential because Chicago White Sox are basically tied with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. They scored 11 runs, 19th in the MLB. They've allowed 14 runs, 17th in the MLB. That's good for 36 points in the 1-2 record, same as the White Sox, but they got the better run differential here with -3. Then you got the Detroit Tigers. They've got 10. They scored 10 runs, 21st in the MLB, and they've allowed 13 runs, 15th in MLB, with 36 points and a 2-1 record. That gives them ranked number 20 in the M. Not too bad, even though it's in the bottom half. Then you got the Toronto Blue Jays. They're ranked 19th, despite being ranked 17th in both run scoring and runs allowed. But, that's just how things work sometimes. They've scored 12 runs and they've allowed 14 runs, good for 34 points with their 1-2 record. Next, you got the Orioles, tied with the Blue Jays in points, but they got the better record, knocking them ahead of the Blue Jays. Yes, the Orioles are not in last place. Holy crap. And they do have a 2-1 record. What the mold? They scored 16 runs, 8th in the MLB. That's actually a pretty good offense. But their defense is still pretty bad, considering they're ranked 26th in runs allowed, allowing 19 total runs. That's, again, 34 points, and that gives them 18th in the MLB. Yeah, seems like they're much higher than they should be, considering where they were last year. Now you got the Texas Rangers. And this is how you know this is not just a biased list, because the Texas Rangers would be in last place if it was. They've scored 5 runs. Terrible. Again, one of the worst offenses. Tied for the worst. This is the last team, I think, in the three-way tie in 28. Then, but the defense, I guess, is decent. I guess, with allowing 8 runs, which is fifth in the MLB. I guess that's okay. 33 points, a 1-2 record, negative 3-point differential. Why the point differential? Oh, because, they have the same amount of points as the Phillies and the same record. The Phillies have scored 15 runs, 9th in the MLB, and they've allowed 17 runs, 24th in the MLB. That's, 33 points, a 1-2 record, and a negative 2-run differential, which is better than the Rangers. Then you got the Boston Red Sox, which is right now smack dab in the middle. They are the middle team, the Middle Brothers. They scored 19 runs, 4th in MLB. That's pretty good. Why are they in the middle? Because their defense also sucks. They've allowed 16 runs, 23rd in the MLB. And they've only got a 1-2 record. With that, they're sitting at 27 points. And I don't think there's a tiebreaker. But if there was, it's not going in their favor. Oh, yeah, there was a tiebreaker. It was with the Colorado Rockies. 8 runs scored, 26th in the MLB. But you know what? They do have a good defense, so they could be moving up. Because, you know what? They've only allowed 5 runs. First in the MLB with 27 points. 2 on record. Just score a bit more runs and this could be a better team. Next, you got the Tampa Bay Rays. They scored 14 runs, 13th in MLB. 12 runs allowed, 13th in MLB. And they're ranked number 13. Wow, that actually works out. They're ranked 13th in both scoring, scores allowed, and ranking. 26 points and a 2-1 record. And then you got the Miami Marlins. They are, ranked 6th with runs scored, allowing scoring 17 runs. Again, Miami Marlins, a team you wouldn't think would be up here, but they're ranked 6th in runs scored. They're 19th in runs allowed with allowing 25 points. But they also have a 2-1 record, and they got a +2 run differential. Oh, wait, we got a +2 run differential. That means we got another tie with the Twins, who are a lot better than the Marlins. They are in first place in runs scored. But, they're ranked 24th in runs allowed, so that gives them 25 points. Because while they have scored 27 runs, which is the best, they've allowed 17 runs, which is tied for 24th. But their 2-1 record and their +10 run differential puts them ahead of the Marlins, which is kind of odd saying that, having the Twins and the Marlins next to each other, considering Twins were like one of the best teams last year. I think at the end of the year, they were like number 1 before, and then the Marlins are like second to worst. So it's kind of hilarious. Ranked 10th in the top 10 teams, you got the Oakland Athletics. 14 runs scored, 13th in MLB. 11 runs allowed, 11th in the MLB. 24 points and a 2-1 record. Next, you got the Cincinnati Reds, who I expect to see falling down this list because while they have a lot of pieces, I don't think they're quite there yet, so I do expect them to fall down this list pretty soon. They are 13th in runs scored, which is they have scored 13 runs, which is 15th in the MLB. They've allowed 10 runs, which is 8th in MLB. That's 23 points and a 1-2 record. Again, I expect them to fall, but right now they're sitting in 9th place. Next, you got the Washington Nationals, who are sitting at 8th place. They have scored 12 runs, which is 17th in MLB, and they've allowed 9 runs, which is 6th in the MLB. That's 23 points and a 2-1 record. In 7th place, you got the St. Louis Cardinals. That's 5th. They've scored 15 runs, 9th in MLB. They've allowed 10 runs, 8th in the MLB. That's 17 points and a 2-1 record. Sitting at 6th place is the Cleveland Indians. They've scored 13 runs, 15th in MLB. They've allowed 5 runs, first in the MLB. That's 16 points and a 2-1 record. Pretty good for, the Indians. The type of the best when it comes to the Indians got one of the best defenses, which is pretty good. But having a mediocre offense makes their point total 16 instead of, sub 10. And that kind of prevents them from going into the top 5. So, 2-1. In 5th place, you got the Chicago Cubs. And these are teams that are probably, at the end of the year, if they're in the top 5, they'd probably be likely to make it to the World Series. They've scored 15 runs, 9th in the MLB. They've allowed 9 runs, 6th in the MLB. That's good for 15 points with their 2-1 record. In 4th place, you got the Houston Astros, who, again, if this was a biased one, I'd have them in 1st. They're 3rd in runs scored, 21 runs. They're 11th in runs allowed with 11 runs. And that's a total of 14 points with their 2-1 record. In 3rd place, the San Diego Padres. Again, if there's any of the Padres fans that were there last year, I still don't think very highly of your team, so you can keep leaving your hate comments. They have scored 15 runs, 9th in MLB, and they've allowed 7 runs, 4th in MLB. I expect this team to fall in the rankings just like they did last year, where they started really high and they ended up in the middle. That's good for 13 points and a 2-1 record. And the top 3 teams are teams at the end of the year. They're teams that are likely to win the World Series. Then you got 2. And Los Angeles Dodgers in 2nd place. Sadly. Because, it'd be much better if they were, sitting in last. They've scored 22 runs, which is 2nd in MLB, and they've allowed 10 runs, which is 8th in MLB. So, despite me hating them, right now they seem to be pretty good. And, they also don't have the best record. I think they have, tied for, I don't know what number that'd be, but, technically it's the 2nd best record overall. But I don't know how many teams are 1-2 versus how many are 2-2, and how many are 2-1. So, it's 2 points. Then you got the Atlanta Braves, final team in 1st place. They've scored 19 runs, which is 4th in MLB, and they've allowed 5 runs, which is 1st in MLB, with 5 points and a 2-1 record. They've got the best defense, and they got the best offense to go with that defense. Well, not when I mean the best offense, they're tied for the best defense because they've only allowed 5 runs. But out of all the teams that have scored, that have only allowed 5 runs with the best defense, they've scored the most. So they've been taking advantage of that defense. So it's a good offense with a good defense, which is a really good combination in their 2-1 record. And we will see exactly how things continue in the future with these 30 teams. Like I said, there's a few teams here that I don't think belong there, like the Padres being that high. And, well, I'm sure there's a few teams you don't believe belong where they were. But again, we're looking at only 3 games. So we'll see where things go from here.